What's up, Straight Up Sister Squad? It's your girl, Roxy.
And I'm Last Susie.
And together we are
Straight Up Sisters, the podcast.
I'm the Bratty.
And I'm the boss.
And we love having those deep, intimate conversations where we often agree and disagree, but still love each other.
So if you love it served up with no chaser, then you're in the right place.
We are undoubtedly your favorite girls. You know who we are.
Straight Up Sisters, the podcast.
Your favorite sisters are back. Straight Up Sisters, the podcast is. I feel like
That's us.
I feel like we haven't been in the studio for a while, and we haven't.
We haven't. I thought you were about to say you feel like you haven't seen me in a long time. And I was like, lies.
No.
All we've done is see each other.
Yeah. But since we've been ahead of the game and knocking out these episodes, which I'm proud of, it feels like stress-free when we know we have episodes
When we're on top of our
archived.
game.
Yeah. It really feels like, so we hadn't been at the studio in like 2 weeks.
Since your vacation.
Yeah.
Since
Oh my
Cuba.
gosh. That is part of my highlight. Should we just dive in?
We should.
Okay.
We must.
We must. So that's a highlight. I have two highlights today, okay? Cuba was off the chain.
First of all, you're being rude.
Why?
Because we have a guest.
I know.
And our guest highlight first.
Okay. You're right. You're right. Thank you for checking me, sis. I know, totally. So today, and out of all people, right? Like who to do it with?
I'm like, Raquel, you are embarrassing us. That's right.
So today, we actually have an etiquette coach on the show. And I thought it was important to bring her on because Susie is super big on etiquette. We should all be big on etiquette.
I feel like when we were doing our research and like, what is actual considered etiquette? I feel like a lot of it is common sense. Mm-hmm. But we already said, what's common sense to me may not be common sense to all. And common sense is not too common these days.
Yeah. And so I actually met Jules years ago. I think we met in 2013.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Like we met, industry events, probably like galas or something. And I was really drawn to what you did. So we have Jules Hurst on the show. Is it Hurst or just Hurst? Hurst. Yeah. On the show. So you're a etiquette coach, and I've been wanting to talk to you. And then I told Susie, hey, you think it's a good idea to bring on an etiquette coach? She's like, yeah.
Heck yes. I've never met an etiquette coach. I remember when my son was little, one of my tias said, you should consider, putting him in etiquette classes. And I thought, that's a really good idea. I never followed through. So I don't know how much I really did think that was a good idea. But looking back, I wish that I would have. He's a good kid. But there's just those little nuances that nobody teaches us. And there's all these mañas that we do culturally that in the big picture, like when you're somewhere where you need to be properly behaved, we fall short sometimes. So I'm glad when Raquel brought it back to our space, I was like, yes, and yes.
Yeah. So welcome to Straight Up Sisters, the podcast.
Girl. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it because this is a great time to talk about etiquette. Anytime is actually a good time because you're right. We sometimes, one in a Latin household, respect is huge for us. So we come out of the house already having a good foundation. But you're right. When you go and you sit down at the dining table, a lot of times, okay, there's 3 forks, there's 4 knives, there's all these plates, where, and we get so caught up on not wanting to make a mistake that we don't get to enjoy our meal, or we don't get to enjoy the people that we're with because we're afraid to touch the wrong fork and we're starving. Are you hungry?
Right.
No, that's not that's not my stomach. Growling because I don't want to pick up the wrong. We're so, and then you have those who are like, I don't care. I'm just going to pick up. I'm hungry. I'm going to eat, and that's great. But there's so many, and I get this all the time. When I was younger, in the beginning of my career, I hated going out to eat. I hated going out to networking events because I wasn't comfortable. And that's all etiquette is. It's confidence in any situation.
I love that. And it's like you said, it's so needed. It's so needed.
It's so needed. And there's different types of etiquette, right? There's social etiquette. There's dining etiquette. There's social media etiquette now because of the times that we live in.
Yes.
There's wedding etiquette, there's going out on a date etiquette,
Mhm.
right? So I
That's
kind of want to
correct.
get into all that, and we are going to get into all that. But first, we like to start our show with a highlight or a rant.
Okay.
And we like to let our guests go first. Is that proper etiquette?
That's called, yes, that's courtesy.
Courtesy. Courtesy.
You're so cute and you're so elegant. Even when you talk, like your hand gestures, I'm paying attention. Girl, I'm about to be a new woman. I'm about to come in here floating.
Exactly,
darling.
darling. No, and you know what? When I looked up etiquette on Google, the exact definition is the customary code of polite behavior in a society or among members of a particular profession or group. So it's etiquette is just simply being considerate of others.
Mindful.
Mindful.
Mhm.
Yeah. But you would think something so simple like, oh, we got that, right? But there's so many people who are not. It's like, hello, I'm in the room too, remember?
Right.
Yeah.
Or I'm in this conversation too. It's not just you talking to me. A conversation's supposed to be a dialogue, right?
An interaction, a back and
Yes.
forth. Yeah.
Like you two.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? It's not a one woman show. It's the two of you
She
collaborating.
thinks it's a one-woman show.
No, I
sometimes.
don't.
You hold your
I'm
own.
just kidding.
I
No,
see
I
me now.
Okay, I caught lying. My nose is growing,
So,
Pinocchio.
Jules, your highlight or your rant, this is a moment where you could rant about anything. You could highlight anything going on in your life. Let us know.
Okay, so let's start with the highlight first. So I am expecting my second grandchild. Yes.
Congratulations.
So I have a granddaughter. So now I am going to have a grandson.
Oh.
So, and she is due May 9th, but I'm really pushing for April because my birthday's in May and I don't like to share.
Right.
I, I make I do not hide that whatsoever. May is my month. It's about enough I have to share with all the other moms
Right.
for Mother's
For
Day.
Mother's
Yeah.
So it's bad enough I have that going for me. But regardless, like anything else, I'm just joking, kind of. But I'm excited to welcome a healthy baby boy.
Oh, that's
well, not
exciting.
me.
Right. Hey, that's the fun part. I have 3 grandbabies, and I love them because you it's a different relationship, right?
Oh yes.
You get to indulge them, play with them, have fun with them, be a kid with them,
Yes.
and then they get to go home.
And then they get to
And
go
you sleep
home.
soundly. You're like, "Ay, buenas noches." The other day, it was my son's birthday. We had dinner, so I have a mini fridge, and the kids know just don't grab the beers, right? I forgot that there was an energy drink in there, almost like an energy drink. Have you heard of Aspire? It's almost like Celsius.
No.
Yeah, I have.
Okay, well,
Who grabbed it?
the kids, and they were pouring it up, and I didn't even pay attention. I was busy, hosting and serving and whatnot.
By the way, that mole was the bomb.
Thank you.
Very good.
And then I realized I was like, the kids had their cups like lined up, so I knew it was the little kids. It was my niece, my grandson, and my granddaughter. And I saw the drink in it and the can, and I told my husband, I was like, "Uh-oh, somebody's not sleeping tonight. I'm glad they're not in my house."
Oh my god.
That's a beautiful highlight. Do you have a rant?
I do have a rant, and it's just basically whenever I tell people, I empower individuals in social skills, leadership, and confidence through the lens of etiquette. That's still a thing. Yes, it is.
Really? And do you teach like individual classes to young kids, women? Do you do that?
Yes.
Oh.
All the above. Yeah.
Like
so
privately? One-on-one?
I'll do privately one-on-one. I will work with County of Los Angeles Library. So, when the library wants to put on a presentation on dining or social, I'm going to be in Willowbrook next month, and we're going to be talking about
Elementary?
library.
Oh, okay. My
Willowbrook
husband
Library.
went to Willowbrook Elementary.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
even think it's a thing. It's a Compton.
we're going to Willowbrook Library.
Wait, is Willowbrook a city or what?
It's that's the name of the library.
Oh, in Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles, it's in the county of Los Angeles. So it's but we're going to be talking about things kids need to know before they go to college. So it's young adults, not kids.
I
That's
love
so
Yeah.
good.
So it's like the social skills and also life skills. You
Yeah.
need to know how to wash clothes. You need
Yeah.
to know how to cook something.
Of course.
Especially if you're going away and living at the dorm. So some kids who are close enough to home, they can take their clothes home. And moms are so
Right.
happy to wash. I know I was happy to wash my daughter's clothes when she came home from school. But if you're going out of state, you can't exactly buy a ticket and go home with your dirty laundry every
Exactly.
weekend, right?
Right.
So there are certain life skills, how to balance a checkbook. Don't open up all the credit cards just because they're free and they entice you.
Oh yeah.
Let's go with some of these skills, some of this knowledge that we need so that we can make the most of our college experience.
Yeah. Oh my
That's dope. I like
gosh.
that.
See, I love that we have this podcast is because there may be people out there that first of all don't even know what etiquette is. I know there's
Right.
probably
I
people watching
agree.
this episode right now like etiquette. First time I hear about this,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because
Mhm.
it's kind of a fancy word,
Yeah.
right? How would you translate etiquette in Spanish? Is it
Etiqueta? Etiqueta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, it still sounds like a fancy word, right? It's like sentido común.
Well, and also I think it
Etiquette.
depends where you come from. Like if your family doesn't necessarily rub elbows with like an elite class, or let's just say that like our grandfather era de rancho.
Yeah.
I'm sure he didn't really feel the need or even know what etiquette was. You get up in the morning, you go to the fields, you work hard, you come home, vieja, what's for dinner? You sit down, you eat while she cooks for you. It just, if you don't need it, why would you use it?
But we all need
live
it.
in a different time now. And we
Yeah.
live in a time where networking is super duper important. In order to get ahead, you have to network for work. You have to network if you're an entrepreneur. You have to network when you're interviewing for colleges. Like you have to know certain things.
Yep.
So I think it's the perfect time. And again, like you said earlier, social media is a thing as well. And
It
there is
is.
even a proper way to conduct yourself there. Because if you're dealing with brands or people, or you just want to get somebody's attention and you come across as invasive, rude, pushy online, you probably already killed your chances of any opportunity to walk in that door.
Oh yeah, I'm the queen of, and we were gonna get into social media etiquette, but some people need to learn social media etiquette, boundaries, right? Like you don't even know this person. Why do you think you're entitled to such information?
Right.
Right? Just because they're a public figure. I love to block people on social media. That might not be good social media etiquette, but it is so therapeutical for me. I'm like, blocking people is like therapy. I'm just like, now you really have no access to me.
Yeah.
There you go. 2 fingers in the air.
Wow.
Politely.
Politely.
That's
Respectfully.
my way.
I mean, I'm not making a fuss. I read your comment
Yeah.
and I'm blocking you. So
And there's nothing wrong with that. We have to set up boundaries for ourselves.
yes.
I'm big on energy, and if I'm not feeling it, if being with you makes me feel uncomfortable, you don't have your etiquette is right? Because what did we
Right.
just talk about? Etiquette is about making sure that you're respectful and you're mindful of those around you. So why am I going to subject myself to someone or an organization or anything if it's not good energy, if I don't feel it?
Right.
Yes.
And
I'm
if, and
with
if I
you.
have to go on my feet and constantly, being called names, and my one time someone told me that my hair was like Sue Ellen on Dallas. I'm like, hey, you might think that's you're making
You
fun
might
of me.
think you're dogging me out, but thank you.
I grew up with Dallas. Yes, thank you.
You said, "Oh, I'm so glad you realized the goal I was going for."
And then but I will say, he actually said, "Uh-oh, now I feel bad."
Oh.
And he put, the emoji with the hands, and okay, well, at least he felt bad,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think I blocked him, but that was the last time I ever heard from him.
Right, right, yeah. I remember I had to do that one time, just quickly touching on that. I'm very open about being a married woman. Like I love my husband. Like we have an online presence together as well. And there was this one person that kept on making like what I felt to be disrespectful comments. So it was just, he caught me on a bad day. And I said publicly in front of everybody on my feed, I said, do not ever disrespect my husband again by speaking to me the way that you do. I am married and your comments are not welcomed. And I never heard from him again.
Yeah, that's a solid boundary.
Yeah. I was
Straight
like,
up.
I'm not here for that. Like, I'm not here to be your entertainment. And nor is my husband here to be disrespected. Like, bye.
Period.
There's
yeah.
there's no room for that, nor should we have to put up with that.
Yes,
No.
I agree. And
2023, come on.
Exactly.
you could feel energy even through social media.
Oh,
yeah, that's a whole
yeah.
subject we're getting into.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for your highlight and your rant. Okay, so let's talk about my highlight of Cuba.
Okay, let's.
Cuba was amazing. Cuba is poor. I mean, there's no question behind it. It's a poor country and it's ran by the government. Everybody knows that. But nonetheless, it's magical. It is people lead a very low stress life over there when it comes to the pace of life. Their stresses are different than our stresses, right? Over here in America, we stress about other things. In Cuba, they're stressing about, do I got enough portions of food this week?
Oh my gosh, but that's awful.
It's awful, but it's awful. It is. It is awful because
Do not romanticize that.
I'm not. I'm not romanticizing it. But what I'm saying is, even though it's awful and they're kind of used to it because the country's been operating like this for years, they are happy people. Like, you don't see homeless on the street. You don't see people like cracked out on drugs over there. You see it's and listen, I don't even think it's a disguise. They're happy Caribbean people.
They live probably the island life.
The island
slower
life,
pace,
big time slower pace,
simplistic,
super simplistic. I mean, it's like rice, beans, pork chops, or chicken, right? And they get
that sounds like I'm so hungry. That sounds so good right now,
and it is so good. Like, and there were certain places in Cuba we went, and they cooked their beans a little bit different than here. Oh, I'm not used to Cuban beans, but they're kind of like sweet. Some places they were like sweet, some places they weren't. Other places we would go had butter, some places didn't have butter. Some places had oil, some places didn't have oil. It's just very interesting, and I got a couple of people on Instagram that were kind of trolling me and saying, it's sad that you go out there and you're highlighting the touristy stuff. And I'm like, well, I am a tourist. I mean, I'm out here being a tourist, right? But we did get to see different aspects of Cuba. We started off in Havana, then we went to the campos and the fincas, which was so beautiful. We took a horseback ride, and I made sure I told all the girls on my girls trip, like, you guys, Cuba needs the tips. They need the money. Be generous with your tips, because if these tips are going to go a long way, right? So like, we can't change Cuba because it's literally a monarchy, the dictatorship out there. It's generational. Like, we can't change how they run this place, but we can bless the people that we come across in Cuba and give them $20, $50,
and they
$100.
can keep their tips.
And they can keep their tips. They could keep their tips. But what I did learn also is from the people that were our tour guides is that people from other countries aren't great tippers. Like,
well, not every country accustoms tipping.
They were telling us that in the Asian culture, and this is just what they shared with me, right? Like, I'm not casting judgment upon the culture, that Asian people don't tip. And I'm like, that they just don't, it's like offensive if you tip the Asian culture. They were saying Russian people don't tip, Polish people don't tip. So when people like us come from America, they're just like excited to greet us and host us. And like these other cultures, they look at it like, you're my tour guide. Like, do your job.
Oh, wow.
They won't even tip them $1. So hearing that, it makes you want to give somebody a 20 or a 50 or 100. But the need is real. They need basic necessities, toothpaste, baseball hats, Tylenol. Because everything that they get, that the government gives them, everything is limited. Everything is limited.
Everybody gets the same amount of everything over there, right?
So you don't see any high class. You don't see, it's like everybody's the same class.
Yeah.
And
they're a socialist country.
Yes. And then, but you do get taken back in a time capsule with all those classic cars. All those classic cars underneath the hood, they have like Ford engines, Toyota engines. It's just, Cuba was so beautiful. So we got to see old Havana. We got to see the campos and the fincas, and then we ended up at the beach. So it was.
Do they have the actual resorts up there? Like, or like, where were you staying on the beach?
Okay, so we stayed at this all-inclusive at the beach in Varadero. But the thing is, like, for example, when you stay at the all-inclusives, there's an abundance of food. You go.
So that must be ran by the government, though.
All the hotels are ran by the government in Cuba. So this is the way it works. It could be the government and a private investor, but the government owns 51%, and then the private investor owns 49%. And if the government wants to take it over one day, they can, because they own 51%.
Right.
So that's how it works in Cuba. They're always in control.
And because it's ran by the government, then of course they have an abundance of food because they're feeding their cow so that they can milk it to the tourists.
Yes.
So
a lot of Canadians in Cuba. A lot of Canadians.
They live there. They go vacation there.
A lot of people from Toronto. Every time we would go to the beach, we always ran into people from Canada.
Okay, so did you find this out? because I don't like Cuba doesn't attract me, and we talked about this
Yeah.
for that reason. I don't want to go and support that government. Like I don't mind going and supporting the people because I know they need it, and I know ITA is really good about like when we went to Panama, they were like, we want to help like socially while we're out there too, not just with our money.
Yeah.
But they were gonna go visit this village, and they're very not this village, but like this community, and they're very, very. I don't want to say poor because that just sounds rude. How would you say that properly? Like not
I mean-
to sound rude. I'm
I mean,
asking.
you have to
I'm
call it how
asking
you see
Jules.
it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Poor.
Okay. It just sounds mean.
Unfortunate.
Unfortunate.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the word I was looking for. They're not. They're very unfortunate, right, in their living circumstances. It was almost like a slum. So they encouraged us to bring stuff to gift them.
Yeah.
So we did. Part of what we packed was like they encouraged us mostly for the little kids. It was coloring books. It was crayons, anything like hats, socks, t-shirts, things that the little kids could enjoy. And we went and we gave the stuff out. We also had some because we visited them on our way out. So we had leftover snacks and drinks that we had at our hotel. So we dispersed all of it.
Yeah.
And that felt good to us to know that in addition to the tipping that we were doing, we also gave tangible things. And you should have seen the kids. You know?
Oh, that
So,
feeling is the
so
best.
my question is this though: so at that hotel, that resort, do they get paid, or do they not get paid because they get provided what they need from the government?
they get paid. And so one positive thing about Cuba, there's a lot of positive things about Cuba. Like I don't just want to focus on how the government controls everything because there are positives, right? It's free education for everybody. If
Up
you,
to the highest,
up to the
like,
highest,
up to college,
free daycare for women, like free, everything's
free
free,
medical.
free medical.
That is literally like not Bernie Mac. What's his name?
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie
Bernie
Sanders.
Sanders.
That's like his agenda. He wants. I said, why are you laughing? Because I said Bernie Mac.
He said Bernie Mac. R.I.P. Bernie Mac.
Yeah, that's what he wants, and that's
Yeah.
why they don't like him because they say like he's going to create America to become a socialist country. But you would think that we could help a little bit more when it comes to education and medical for people in this country because we are so wealthy as a country, or are we?
Or are
Anyways,
we?
Back
Yeah,
to,
exactly.
Back to
No,
Cuba.
so it's free education, free childcare. Like for example, if you want to get into tourism in Cuba, there is a school that specializes in preparing people to go be a bartender, be a waitress, and it's
Oh.
free school. So
Oh.
yes, these people get paid, but you do get people that come up to you on the streets and they're not begging for money. They're just like, "Can I have your hat?" They need it. They need do you have Tylenol that you can give us? So the next trip that I want to do to Cuba, I want it to be humanitarian.
Are you able to do that?
I don't know,
Do you
but
need a certain permit?
no, I wouldn't get a permit. I would just do it. I
So
would just
can
tell
you
people
get
to-
arrested?
No, that would be a great
How do
story.
you
though,
know?
if I got arrested in Cuba for helping the Cuban people? Free Roxy. I would be like Che Guevara.
How would you know?
Revolucionaria Roxy.
I'm curious. Like, will they? I'm sure if they see a suitcase
I
full
mean-
of toothpaste and
I mean, I wouldn't-
deodorant and pads and socks, they're gonna question, "What are you doing with this?" Or do they not search
You
your?
know what, sir? My period is a month long. I don't. I don't think.
I need a case of tampons,
I
sir.
think it would be more like I wouldn't go to Costco and super duper stock up. I would say among all of us, bring like 5 packs of toothpaste and then 10 extra hats. I wouldn't
That's-
overdo.
how many people are you gonna help, sis? 10?
As many as I can. I mean, if it's 40 of us, that's a lot after a while. So when you're at the Miami airport, you see people like stocking up on Dunkin' Donuts to take over to Cuba because, for example, my mom and I, we walked into a bakery, one type of bread. And it was like birotes. It was like bolillos. We're like expecting to see like we do here in America, like the
So
potato
it's even
balls.
not like because even when you go to Mexico, it's abundant. Like
Let me tell you, Mexico is abundant. And
Yeah,
I mean,
it
a lot of
is.
Latin countries are. It's not like Cuba. Cuba is very, very
Puerto
limited
Rico's
on
abundant.
resources.
DR is abundant.
Not
like
Cuba.
every country that I have visited, even Panama, the island that we were at, Boca del Toro, which was a very underdeveloped island, even that was abundant. It
No,
sounds
it's-
more abundant than Cuba.
It is. There's not a lot of choices in Cuba. Like you get what
and
you
that's
get.
intentional though.
Yeah, you get what you get, and you learn to be happy with what you get. But let me tell you, Cuban people are so happy.
But why wouldn't they be if they've never experienced anything else?
Exactly.
Like I think Americans would go and probably find something to complain about because we live in a place where we throw away so much shit.
Oh my gosh.
Or Cubans that have left Cuba and then gone back to Cuba probably would go back with their nose in the air.
They do.
Because now they've experienced abundance. But if you've never left, if I'm 80 years old and I've been in Cuba all of my 80 years and this is all I know, nunca me ha faltado nada. This is it for me. I don't know what Google is necessarily. How do I know what I'm missing?
Exactly. So there's two type of Cubans that I realize are in Cuba. There's Cubans that want to leave, and then there's Cubans that are happy living in Cuba.
And they want to leave. Why? Did they
and
tell
they don't
you?
want to leave. There's people that
No,
don't
the ones
want
that
to
want to leave. Did they tell you why?
because they want to come to America, because they want more freedom. They want more choices. They want abundance. They want to succeed. And they know that there's a cap in Cuba and you just can't do more.
But freedom here comes with such a high price tag.
Yeah.
It is so expensive to live abundantly in America.
Yeah.
You
and
can
so-
just barely get by easily.
But
So
that's
many
why
people do
a
that.
lot of them come here and they go into shock because they're like, oh my God. Because a lot of them end up in Miami. And it's like,
Bitch, I would take a backstroke all the way back to Cuba. I'd be like, see you back in Cuba.
yeah, no, but they realize, imagine this. I mean, check this out. A monthly average salary for a Cuban in American dollars is, guess,
$300.
no, way less.
$100.
$30 a month. American dollars is the
my.
average. I kid you not.
Today.
30
How?
But that's how you could. So you could just kind of wrap your head around that.
What?
So my
No,
mom and
I'm stuck for words right now.
Yeah. So that, I mean, so for a dollar, an American dollar, we were getting 150 pesos for $1 American dollar.
Wow.
So what's 30 times 150, Austin? 30 times 150
Oh, you're asking me to do math
is,
off the
Austin,
cuff?
what's 30 times 150 in pesos? Like, no, okay. So their average salary is 4,500 pesos, which translates to 30 American dollars. That is how they live. And I know this because I was talking to waiters. I was talking to the local people because that's who you want to talk to. You don't want to necessarily talk to, well, even the people in tourism were keeping it real. But that's the average salary. So my mom and I went the day after we got there, we went to go have breakfast. And I'm like, Mom, we just ate up somebody's salary because I think it came out to like 40 American dollars. And the guy goes, sí, ese es el salario de una persona en Cuba.
Okay, so, but I don't
Ustedes se comieron el
understand.
salario. And we're
Oh
just
my
like, we spend
gosh.
$40. So like the next time you go to Cuba, I mean, the next time you go out and buy 3 drinks at Starbucks, that's $10 a drink. That is one person's salary a month in Cuba.
And people do that daily here in America and don't even think twice about it.
Don't even think twice.
So my question is this.
Or I'd be
is there
feeling
any
guilty when I go to the
privately-
grocery store now.
Is there any privately owned businesses? Like, is there an entrepreneur in Cuba?
No.
Or every restaurant is also owned by the government?
Everything is owned by the government. There's some kind of control from the government in every single business. My mom and I were trying to find breakfast at one morning, and we went through a local walking through the streets. And first of all, they were like, we don't start serving anything until 1. And we're like,
So
why not?
nobody serves breakfast in Cuba?
No. Well, the little area we went through, it was
Uh-huh.
like it was like the real part of Cuba, right? And we're like, why? They're like, no tenemos huevos, no tenemos frijoles, no tenemos arroz. We don't have none of that yet. So we have to wait till like a certain time before
It
we
gets
start
delivered
serving.
for them daily?
I guess it's just a complicated system.
Man.
And so we ended up going to a place where there's more tourism. It was like this little cute alley. It reminded me of very European vibes. And there was like 4 restaurants there. And we were able to have like una agua de guayaba, the eggs, and the sausage is like just like a weenie,
Mhm.
And it was just a very simple breakfast. And for that, we paid $40. But still, the guy was like, yeah, that's more than someone's salary here in Cuba. $40 is more. It's $30. Their average income a month.
And what do they do with that if everything is provided? Do they have to pay rent? Or that's
Yes.
provided for them?
They got to pay rent.
So then their salary would go to their
But
paying their
just
house.
so everybody could kind of get an idea of how they're living out there. Yet they're still happy. I didn't see one homeless person. Homelessness is illegal in Cuba because everybody has illegal because everybody has access to everything. But you don't see people on the street and talking to themselves though, like you see here in LA. Like the happiness vibration, you could feel it. It's not fake. They're like, pero aquí la gente de Cuba no se rinde. Like they just have this positive attitude towards life because that's all they can do. Or
There's
be
beauty in
depressed.
that. There's beauty in that.
See, that's the magic that I discovered in Cuba was like with so little, these people are still happy.
Pues
And
como
in
dijo
America-
Biggie Smalls, more money, more problems.
In America, we have it all. Abundance, and there's people depressed, committing suicide. Oh my God, mental health issues. Everything is mental health issues. And it's like, try living off $30 a month. Like somebody
No
should go.
puedo. I
should-
cannot wrap my head around that.
I should do that as an experiment. Like somebody should try to do that as an experiment and like
That's
document
impossible
it.
in America.
Well, yeah, I mean, they'd kick me out of my house instantly.
I mean, maybe if you go to Cuba, you could try it there. But that in America, how?
yeah. That was
Even Netflix is more than $30 a month, I think, right? Like
I don't
the
know. I
things that
use
we
someone's
take for
password.
granted. I know. Raquel's like, as a matter of fact, I live off of $30 a month every month.
No, but that's my Cuba highlight, and that was a long highlight, so I'll park my other highlight for the next episode.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give you a very quick highlight since you hogged up all the time. It's okay.
Cuba was beautiful. Oh my gosh.
It's okay. I liked your highlight. I was
Yeah.
interested in it. Okay, so I have a rant. I'm ranting, you guys.
Please even it out.
Guys. So this weekend, we did a maternity shoot for Raquel.
Yes.
So I don't work on Saturdays anymore. I'm a hairdresser, right? That's my day job. That's my superhero job. Actually, this is my superhero job. They're both superhero jobs.
Yeah, they're both.
But anyhow,
she's a part-time therapist.
yeah,
She's a therapist.
Therapist.
Her shoot was on Sunday. I don't work on Saturdays anymore, but since she needed to get ready for her shot, I was going to be at Open the Salon on a Sunday for her, Mrs. VIP right here.
Thank you very much. Thank you
And
very
I
much.
called my stepmom and I was like, hey, and my dad, I was like, you guys, I'm going to be in the salon. I know you guys need a haircut and your hair done. Come and see me and I'll see you before I do her hair. So they come and my stepmom is complaining to me about how dry her hair is. Mind you, she has a lot of hair and it's curly. And I was like, well, I don't understand why, because I've already told you the products that you need and I've even bought them for you. Are you using them? And she's like,
I was there. I couldn't.
I
You were dying.
cannot. I cannot. She says, no, I'm not using them. And I was like, well, why? I got them for you. She's like, because me and your dad are using the stuff from Tío Nacho.
Tío Nacho shampoo and conditioner.
I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, el Tío Nacho.
They were
Is
razzing.
that a brand or is that
Girl.
or do you actually have a Theo named Nacho?
No,
There's
it's
a
a brand.
brand out there called Tío Nacho. They get it at CVS. And
Ugh.
I was like, first of all, we're Salvadorian, right? And we're very like open with our family. My dad, he's super open-minded. And so I said, ¿Quién putas es Tío Nacho?
You guys, this is Tío Nacho. This is the Tío Nacho shampoo that you could order on Amazon.
Oh my
And
gosh.
Susie was like, anything you get over the counter is always going to dry your hair. If
It's
you're-
like a hot dog. It's full of filler and stuff that's not good for you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Tío Nacho.
I could not. My dad's like, and I think it was more his reaction of like, what do you mean? Tío Nacho's amazing. It has aloe vera y miel. And he's like giving me these ingredients. And mind you, my dad has very fine hair. Not a lot. His haircuts are super simple. And I said, okay.
We're like, obviously it's not working because your hair is so thin.
Yeah. I said, Daddy, you and my stepmom, you guys don't need to be using the same hair products, right? Like she has long, thick, curly hair and you almost have no hair. I said, come on, lady. Why are you using Tío Nacho? She's like, I told you last time I was using Tío Nacho. You didn't say anything to me. I said, I must not have heard you. But the fact that I'm providing you the hair products that you need and you're still using Tío Nacho, like, it doesn't the name alone alarm you? Like, who is Tío Nacho?
They were so raving about it though, huh? Like it was like the hottest thing on the market.
And then I was like, it's having market to our Latino community that they get us hooked on stuff like that. That's like el shampoo de caballo. You don't know how many people have been like, oh my gosh. I'm like, girl, your hair's dry. Like, it's feeling rough. What are you using? Oh, I'm using el shampoo del caballo. Why? Well, because I want my hair to be long. Have you ever felt a horse's tail? It's dry and it's rough. So why would you want to use a shampoo that's going to make your hair look and feel like horse's hair? Horse's hair is not soft.
Because they want it thick.
Yeah, but it's how they market us.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
I could not. I was like, we need to rant about this.
Yeah, we
say no to Tío Nacho.
Oh my God, we were rolling, Jules.
Oh,
we
I
were like,
could not.
but the seriousness on my dad's face, like, ¿Cómo? ¿No sabes de Tío Nacho? No, and I'm like, it's thickening. It's supposed to be a thickening shampoo.
Okay. I know. Raquel was like, Daddy, it's not working. ¿Usted todavía está pelón?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
But I agree. You know what? I will say I've seen a big change in my hair ever since I started using the stuff that you what is it? What's the shampoo that you got me?
Right now I have you on Kenra Platinum Lux.
Yes. Like
I will never steer you wrong.
I know you won't.
You don't always listen, and then you come crawling back. But I will never steer you wrong.
No, I know.
Every time you finally come to your senses and say, okay, let me try what Susie said, you're always happy.
Yeah.
I love
because
Kenra.
I'm bougie.
I love Kenra.
The Kenra Platinum Lux?
Mm-hmm.
Girl, their whole line is what I use. And I have extensions, so it can be a little bit of a drier hair because it has no source, right? It's on a weft. Amazing stuff.
I use that one, and I use Redken, but for the blonde to keep it.
Oh, yes.
So I'll go back and forth.
Yep.
But, yeah,
And
I love
Redken's
Kenra.
actually a good line if you are like on a pretty, like if you're on a tighter budget, they have great products and it's reasonably priced. I think almost anybody, Kenra as well, can afford Kenra, Redken, Matrix, stuff like that. It's when you get more into like the Moroccan oils and the Pureology that it gets a little bit more pricey.
And I used to like Moroccan oil, but it got too heavy.
Yeah,
after
I
a
don't
while.
love Moroccan oil.
So then
I
I'll go
think it's
back
heavy.
I'll go back to Kenra's always my staple.
Yes.
I'll verge out a little bit. I have an esthetician license.
Oh,
so I'll go to Costco.
I knew
Prof,
it.
and
You're
I'm like,
too fabulous not to, honey. You're too fabulous not to.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, I got my esthetician license in 2000. I think it was like 2007, 2006, somewhere in there. But I was going to school and I loved it. I loved it. But then when we got to lab and it was in Santa Monica, and then they would come in and I didn't like touching people's skin.
Oh.
But I was already halfway done. I couldn't tell my husband, I don't want to do this anymore.
Right.
So I went ahead and I finished it. But then it was 2008, and that was when we had the crash.
marketing.
Yeah, so nobody was hired. I did apply. I did like, you know what? I have to. The rule was always I can stay home while the girls were, in high school and in junior high. But when they went to college, and my younger daughter graduated in 2008 with 2 kids in college, I had to go back to work. There was, no and ifs or buts. So I tried, but I couldn't get hired. But secretly, I was like, thank God.
Oh my
I don't have to touch
gosh.
that nasty.
Yeah.
Not everybody, but sometimes like with the oils. So my goal was always to put them to sleep with the massage.
Yeah. And I agree. Like I could not I have a Cosmo license, so I had to do all of it in school. Girl, miss me with the pedicures, miss me with the skincare. I don't want to do that for people. So I'm comfortable in the field of doing hair. And I love the whole artistry and the transformation of it. If you guys are interested in more hair products, visit my Amazon page, amazon.com/shop/La Susie. There's everything. There's fashion, there's skincare, there's stuff for my home. But under hair care, you'll find all my favorites and all my recommendations.
Is the link in your bio on your Instagram?
It's in my link tree, yes.
Okay, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, speaking of that, coming back, we're going to continue this conversation because I didn't know you have an esthetician license, and now you're an etiquette coach. And you're the only etiquette coach that I know. I don't really know a lot of people that are out there that could say, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I'm an etiquette coach. You're teaching something super important. I'm super interested in because I came up with a list that I came across on Reader's Digest, and I'm like, okay, I don't know if I agree with that. But since you're the expert on the show today, we're gonna run this list by you.
Okay.
And we're gonna just talk about etiquette, and we're gonna realize how we've been failing as a society.
Speak for yourself.
No,
Because I'm damn near perfect.
Some of this stuff you're like, wow. I read one out loud to Austin, and we were like, what? That doesn't even make sense. But it's on that list of proper etiquette, right? So coming back for all of our Patreon friends, lovers, and sister squad, we're going deep into this conversation.
It's going to be fun. Catch you on the other side.